Welcome back to JDC 24/7, the digital class in Tanzania. My dear and near friends, JDC 24/7 members, Standard 3 in particular for this video. Our today's talk is about science and technology, matter in particular. So we are going to talk about matter is our topic. Welcome. Now here comes what is matter, by the way. Now matter is anything that has weight and can occupy space. That's all. So anything that has weight and can occupy space is what we call matter. So when we are talking about matters, we touch a wide range of things like stones, trees, animals, gases, water, rocks, electrical equipment, household utensils, mobile phones, shoes, and so many other things. As long as they have weight and they can occupy space, are what we call matters. Now, anything or a matter, in order to be said a matter, it should be in either of the three states. It is likely to be in a solid state, in a liquid state, or in a gaseous state. If that is the case, then there are three states of matter, namely solid state, liquid state, and the gaseous state. Now let's have a little illustrations for the three states of matter. Let us take these what we call matters, or three matters, of which they have these molecules, as you see here. The solid matter has molecules, as you see, of which they are compacted together, or I can say they are closely compacted to one another, compared to these molecules which are making up the so-called liquid. The same applied to what we call the molecules which are making up the so-called gases. My dear pupils, if you take these three what we call matters, you are likely to take note on the so-called molecules, that the molecules of what we call solid are compacted together strongly, while these one are a bit loose compared to these, and these are more far apart from one another. Right. Now let us discuss one state of matter after the other. Now when it comes to solid state, as you see over here, this is the state of matter of which the molecules of the matter are closely compacted to each other, as we have seen here. So the molecules of matter are closely compacted to each other. This, what we call matter, is called matter in a solid state. As the molecules are tightly compacted together, they are not free to move apart. They are not free to move apart to mean these are closely compacted together. They cannot move easily from place to place as compared to the molecules in the other two matters, I can say. Examples of solid matters. Now we have different examples of solid matters, as we have said that these what we call matters are called solid matters if they are hard. Yeah, this is also to be taken into account. If they are hard, they are of course things which have weight and they occupy spaces, but the thing to be taken into account is that they are hard in touch, like stones, wall, table, rocks, chairs, trees, and so many other hard materials or matters as they concern. Here are some examples. As you see, we have talked about stones, like you see these stones. We have trees, as you see over here. We have wall, as you see here. We have chairs, like you see here. Table, like you see here, and the huge rock, as you see over here. So all these things are solids, and some more other hard materials are all termed as what we call solid matters. Right, pupils? Right? Yeah, let us continue. properties of solid matter. Now, a solid matter, it has what we call fixed volume. A solid matter, like you see up here, it has a fixed what we call volume. If the volume of this matter is maybe 5 decimeter cubic, for example, if it is 5 whatever we could say, it will remain 5 centimeter cubic unless you have either added some off or reduced the sum. So a volume of matter in a solid state has fixed volume. That is to be taken into account. And again, also the solid matter has fixed shape. It has fixed shape. The way it look is the way it is going to look under whatever circumstance, of which it is a bit quite different from other matters or the matter in other states. So the very important thing to be taken into account when it comes to what we call solid matter has fixed volume, and the so-called shape, it has fixed shape. Both fixed volume, fixed shape for the matter of hard or solid material or solid matters, I can say. Now let us come to liquid state. Now the liquid state is the state of matter of which the molecules of matter are loosely compacted to each other, as we have seen up here. Again, this is the liquid matter. So the liquid state or the liquid state is the state of matter of which these molecules of matter are a bit loose compacted together compared to these what we call molecules. So the liquid molecules or the molecules making up what we call liquid matter, they are far apart a bit compared to solid matter or solid matter as it should be taken into account. Now here, the molecules of what we call given matter in a liquid state are not as tight as those in a solid state, as we have seen up there. Examples of liquid matters, we have water. The very commonly used liquid in the world is water. We have also blood, is one of the liquid, milk, the cooking oil, the kerosene, have juice, we have urine, and so many other liquids of which they are as they concern. Now here are some examples, as we have mentioned above. We have what we call water, as this one, as you see over here. We have what we call milk. Wow, milk. Most of you guys are in need of drinking milk like this one. And also we have a kerosene. Somebody is powering this kerosene in the container through this what we call funnel. And there is what we call blood over here, as you see here. We have what we call cooking oil. We have juice and so many other things as they concern. So these are some of the liquids of which they are found in this world. Yeah, you guys are in need of drinking juice. Hopefully you like drinking juice, is it, pupils? Exactly, that is what I expected from you, that you drink juice almost every day, is it? Good. So these are some of the liquids, right? Now there are properties of liquid matter. A liquid matter has fixed volume. Exactly. Now here comes, if this water or this bottle is of what we call 1 liter and the water inside is full, it is going to be 1 liter regardless in whichever container this water is going to be put. It has a fixed volume. However, it can change its shape, but the volume will remain the same. So the volume of this milk will be the same even if it is going to be put somewhere else. The volume will remain the same. So the so-called liquid has fixed volume. The other thing is that it has what we call not fixed shape. Again, this is to be taken into account. It has indefinite what we call shape. To mean the shape of the liquid, as you see here, this water seems as if it is grass-like, is it? When it was in this bottle, it was like a bottle-like. The same applied to this milk. When it was in this bottle, of which they are boiling to, it was like a bottle-like. Now here, it is a glass-like. The same applied to other liquids, as you have to see over here. They have what we call indefinite, or they don't have what we call fixed shape. The shape of the so-called liquid depends on the shape of the container. As you see, this juice seems like it is the shape of this plastic, or whatever we could say. Why? Because it takes the shape of the container, of which it is quite different from that one above, of what we call solid. The solid does not take the shape of the container, but the liquid will take the shape of the container. That is why we have said the liquid has not fixed the shape, or it has indefinite shape. The shape of the liquid depends on the container. If the container is wide, and the shape will look wide of that liquid of which it is put in, and also if the shape is maybe narrowed, and also the shape of that liquid will seem narrowed, and so on and so on. If that is the case, then you have to bear in mind the shape of the so-called liquid is not definite. It is indefinite, to mean it changes in accordance with the what we call container in which this liquid is going to be put. Understood, pupils? Right, let us continue with gaseous state. Now, when it comes to gaseous state, pupils, now the gaseous state is the state of matter of which the molecules of a matter are far apart from one another. It should be remembered again, as we have seen over here. We have taken as an example, we have taken this as a solid, we have taken this as a liquid, and this one as a gaseous. Now, when you compare the so-called molecules, as we have seen some times ago, we have taken into account that these molecules are compacted together, and these are a bit loosely. Now here, we are talking about gaseous state. The molecules of what we call gas matter, or matter in gaseous state, they are far apart from one another. They are not as tight as compared to those of liquid, of solid and liquid state. So the molecules are far apart from one another. Here, the molecules of a given matter in what we call gaseous state are free to move, since they are far apart from each other. As we have said, that gaseous state is the state of matter of which the molecules of a matter are far apart from one another. Here, the molecules of a given matter in gaseous state are free to move, since they are far apart from one another, or from each other. Right? Yes. Okay, let us come to examples of what we call gaseous matters. Now, examples of gaseous matters include what we call oxygen gas. Wow, the very interesting thing with you, student. You know why? Because we are taking in oxygen every time. Even now, you pupils, my listeners, and me, together with me, are all using oxygen, because oxygen is very important, and this matter is in gaseous state. The same applies to hydrogen, of which also it is in gaseous state. Carbon dioxide, we have also what we call nitrogen gas, it is as you see here, and perfumes, including some other more gases as they concern. So here, students, or here pupils, the so-called matters in gaseous state are a wide range, or I can say. We have oxygen, hydrogen, we have carbon dioxide, we have nitrogen, we have perfumes, and some other gases, of which they are in gaseous state. Right? Yes, so there are properties of gaseous matter. pupils. Now, one of the property of gaseous matter is that a gaseous matter or matter in gaseous state has indefinite what we call volume. It has the indefinite volume in the sense that when this oxygen or when this gas is in some condition, it is likely to spread out or to squeeze a bit. So the volume of that water or that what we call gas will depend sometimes according to the situation or the atmospheric conditions, sometimes even the situation in which this gas is put in. So it is quite different from liquid and solid, of which they have fixed volume, but for this it has indefinite volume because it can spread out. Understood? Right. And the second what we call property of what we call matter in gaseous state is that this matter has not fixed the shape. It has not fixed the shape in the sense that it will follow the shape of the container as it is for the liquid state. What happened with this what we call gaseous? For example, we are using gases in our homes and whatever. Sometimes we fill tank or gas tanks, and the gas of which it is going to be filled in the gas tank will take the shape of that tank, of which it is a bit different from solids and so on and so on. Understood? Right. Now here, as we have discussed about the three states of matter, we have also to have a look on what we call water. Water is very special. You know why? Because water is the only substance that can exist in all three states of matter. We have discussed about the three states of matter, as we have mentioned that we have solid state, we have liquid state, and we have gaseous state. And most of the what we call matters may exist in either two of them or maybe just one of them. But water is special, I can say, because it is the only substance that can exist in all three states of matter. This water changes name while it is in different states. For example, if it is in liquid state, this is regarded as water. It is what we call water. But in gaseous state, this is called vapor. It is called vapor. It is water in liquid, but in gaseous state it is called vapor. While in a solid state, this water is also going to be called ice. So water is the only substance that exists in the three states, or in all the three states of matter, of which after being in either of these will be with its own name. Water in a liquid, vapor in gaseous, and the ice in a solid state, as you have to see over here. This water after being boiled, after boiling, it changes into vapor. So this water vapor is water of which it is in gaseous state, and we call vapor. And here, when it freezes at 0 degrees of centigrade and beyond, it is called ice. It is called ice, and it is in solid state. And the same applied to this water, of which it is at between 0 through 100 degrees of centigrade. This is going to be in a liquid state, and that is what we regard it as water. Understood, guys? Understood? Right. So here, the freezing point of water is 0 degrees of centigrade, as you have seen here. So the freezing point, water freezes at 0 degrees of centigrade, while the same water, the boiling point of water is 100 degrees of centigrade. For here, water after being boiled at 100 degrees of centigrade, it boils, of which after that it changes into water vapor. So the boiling point of water is 100 degrees of centigrade, as you see over here. Understood? Right. Let us come to these what we call matter, because these matter have different properties. It should be remembered that they have different properties. And the very interesting thing with this is that objects that can float on water are called, yes, of course, there are objects that can float on water, little girls and boys. Now here, when I'm talking about these objects, these are objects of which, after being put on water, they remain on the surface. They remain on the surface. And it should be remembered, my dear and near kids, that not all matters can float on water. Some sink. Now the following are some objects that when placed on water, they tend to float. We have the ship, wood, boat, a ball, banana trees, reeds, and so forth and so forth. So these things and some more other things like plastics and so on, they tend to remain on the surface after being put on water. They remain on the surface, and these objects are called floating objects, I can say. Now, apart from having these objects that can float on water, there are objects, or I can say matters, that can sink in water. After being put on water, they tend to sink down. They tend to sink down. Now, sinking is after being pressed, they go below the water surface, below water. They go below water to mean they sink down. Water or in water, whatever we could say. Now the following are some of the objects that when placed on water sink in. These include needle, include iron, include stones, include bricks, and so many other things of which after being put on water they tend to sink. Pupils. You have to go and maybe have a look on, take water, maybe something like this, take most of the things you have, like pencils, pens, or whatever we could say, try to put on water. And if you find that they go down, you have to know that this object sinks. And if they remain, or the object remain on top of water body, or on the surface of the water, then you know that this object floats on water. Exactly, right? Good. Now here, if you put this object and you find this object is floating, of course, here, if it is here, but for the matter of this one, which is underneath water, it is called floating object or sunk object. It is sunk down. And also, of course, if you put something like this and you find it remain on top of, then this one is going to be regarded as a floating object because it does not go down the water, or whichever we could say. Not a ben, are things to be taken into account. That float means to stay above the surface of water. Float means to stay above the surface of water, while sink means to go below the surface of water. Understood? Pupils, understood? Yes, that is what I expected from you. Right. Now here we come to objects that can float or fly in air. Yeah, let us travel to United States of America. Let us travel to... Yes, we need to know a bit about objects that fly in air, or fly in air, whatever we could say. The very interesting thing is that some of the objects float or fly in air. These are like aeroplane, like Air Tanzania, balloons, wow, birds, as you see, most of birds are flying over there, kites, and so on and so on. So there are different objects of which after being put or after being released on air, they tend to float, or they tend to fly, I'm sorry. Yeah, they can float or fly over there. Understood? Yes, so we have aeroplane, balloons, birds, kites, and so on. As you have to see here, this is Air Tanzania. Of course, it is an aeroplane. You see, it is on air, in air, or whatever. It is on the surface, so it is in air. Wow. like a airplane, and also we have a flying kite, like you see here. It is on top of or it is in the air on top of the surface. It is flying kite. One of the things that is to be taken into account. Kids, I know you know these things because you always used it to feel them after buying on the so-called buying from the shop or whatever. You tend to feel it. These are balloons, one of the things which float on air. And the bird, as you see, it is flying. It is one of the matter objects that fly in air. So pupils, what you have to bear in mind before maybe winding up our lesson, we have gone through what we call matter as per our talks. We have gone through matters. We have talked about matters. We have defined what is matter, as we have said that matter is anything that has weight and can occupy space. We have gone through states of matter, of which we have talked about solid state, we have talked about liquid state, we have talked about gaseous state, and also we have taken into account about these what we call three matters. For the matter of the molecules, the way they place one another or the way they compact it together, that is, for the matter of solid matters, the molecules are compacted strongly, while it comes to liquid they are a bit loose, while for the matter of gases, these are with molecules of which they are far away from one another. We have gone through different states of matter and giving some examples of those what we call state of matters in specific states. Like in solid, we have talked about the stones, a wall, we have talked about table, rocks, we have talked about chairs, trees, and so forth. We have came to what we call the properties of solid matters, of which we have talked about having a fixed volume and what we call fixed shape. We have gone through liquid state, of which we have also defined that the state of matter of which molecules are what we call loosely compacted to each other, and we have gone through different examples of liquids, of which we touched the water, milk, kerosene, blood, cooking oil, juice, and so many other liquids. Also, we went through what we call properties of matter, of liquid matter, of which we have talked about volume, that it has fixed volume and it has not fixed shape. The shape of the liquid, as we have said, will depend on the shape of the container. And also we have gone through gaseous state, of which we have said it is the state of matter of which the molecules of this matter are far apart from one another. And here the molecules, as we have said, they are free to move because they are not tightly as compared to the other two matters in states, in solid and liquid states. Examples of what we call gaseous state, we have gaseous matters we have taken into account. We have talked about oxygen, we have talked about hydrogen gas, we have talked about carbon dioxide gas, we have talked about nitrogen gas and perfumes and so many other gases. From there we went through what we call properties of gaseous matter, of which we have talked about indefinite volume, we have talked about not having fixed shape. That is what we have gone through. And again also we have talked about water as the only substance that exist in all three states of matter, by the way, and we have talked about this, that it changes names as it is in different states. So in the liquid state, as we have said, it is called water. In the gaseous state, we have said it is called vapor, and in solid we have talked about having the name as it is regarded as ice. We have gone through that ice is obtained at 0 degrees of centigrade, at between 0 through 100 degrees of centigrade. This water is going to be in a liquid, but more than 100 degrees of centigrade, or from 100 degrees of centigrade, of which it is the boiling point, water is going to change into vapor, of which now it is going to be in a gaseous state. The freezing point of water is 0 degrees of centigrade, as we have said, and the boiling point, as we have talked about, is 100 degrees of centigrade. Now we have also gone through these objects that float on water, as we have said that some objects after being put in water, they tend to remain on the surface. These include ship, wood, boat, ball, banana trees, leaves, and so many other objects. And also it should be remembered that there are objects that can sink in water, of which are the following: that needle or iron, stones, bricks, and so forth. We have demonstrated a bit or illustrated a bit about these two. Some sink, some remain on the surface. And also things to be bared in mind: that float means to stay above the surface of water, and the sink means to go below the surface of water. Is that okay with you guys? Is that okay with you, pupils? That is right. And also we have touched things like objects that can float or fly in air. Also we have gone through aeroplane, balloons, bird, kites, and so many other things, as you see here. To wind up our lesson, our today's lesson comes with an assignment. Pupils, you have to go through or to rewind as many times as you want this video while learning about all these phenomena or all these things, and going through even other materials to answer the assignment below, right? Yes. So the first question, or as an assignment, is what we call, what is matter? You will need to answer it. And also the second question says, how many states of matter are there? You have to mention them. And you have to use diagram to differentiate all the above states of matter. You have to use diagram. Remember, we have done one above. And also, what is the name given to water in a solid state? Hopefully you remember it. And the boiling point of water is dash degrees of centigrade, and the freezing point is dash degrees of centigrade. The other question says, some matters can float, or some matters float on water. Mention 5 of them. So some matters float on water. When put on water, they remain on the surface. You have to mention 5 of them. Now, aeroplane float in air. Mention other 2 objects that which fly in air. So you have to mention other 2 objects which fly in air. Kids or pupils, I know that you have enjoyed the video, and remember not to miss the upcoming videos for more clarification on different matters. That is all for today. See you next time.